screw the cover down tight on every natural impulse, and then, some day, the cover will blow off with a loud report. You can't kill that kind of thing, Fanny. It would have to be a wholesale massacre of all the centuries behind you. I don't so much mind your being disloyal to your tribe, or race, or whatever you want to call it. But you've turned your back on yourself. You've got an obligation to humanity, and I'll nag you till you pay it. I don't care if I lose you, so long as you find yourself. The thing you've got isn't merely racial. God, no. It's universal. And you owe it to the world. Pay up, Fanny. Pay up. Look here, began Fanny, her voice low with anger. The last time I saw you, I said I'd never again put myself in a position to be lectured by you like a schoolgirl. I mean it, this time. If you have anything else to say to me, say it now. The train leaves, she glanced at her wrist, in 2 minutes, thank heaven, and this will be your last chance. All right, said Hale. I've got something to say. Do you wear hatpins? Hatpins? Blankly. Not with this small hat, but what? That means you're defenseless. If you're going to prowl the streets of Chicago alone, get this. If you double your fist this way, and tuck your thumb alongside like that, and aim for this spot right here, about 2 inches this side of the chin, bringing your arm back and up quickly like a piston, the person you hit will go down, limp. There's a nerve right there that communicates with the brain. That blow makes you see stars, bright lights, and fancy colors. They use it in the comic papers. You are crazy, said Fanny, as though at last assured of a long-suspected truth. The train began to move almost imperceptibly. Run! She cried. Hale sped up the aisle. At the door he turned. It's called an uppercut, he shouted to the amazement of the other passengers, and leaped from the train. Fanny sank into her seat, weakly. Then she began to laugh, and there was a dash of hysteria in it. He had left a paper on the car seat. It was the Star. Fanny crumpled it childishly and kicked it under the seat. She took off her hat, arranged her belongings, and sat back with eyes closed. After a few minutes she opened them, fished about under the seat for the crumpled copy of the Star, and read it, turning at once to his column. She thought it was a very unpretentious thing, that column, and yet so full of insight and sagacity and whimsical humor. Not a guffaw in it, but a smile in every fifth line. She wondered if those years of illness and loneliness, with weeks of reading and tramping and climbing in the Colorado mountains, had kept him strangely young, or made him strangely old. She welcomed the hours that lay between New York and Chicago. They would give her an opportunity to digest the events of the past 10 days. In her systematic mind she began to range them in the order of their importance. Horn and Udell came first, of course, and then the line of maternity dresses she had selected to take the place of the hideous models carried under Slosson's regime. And then the slip-over pinafores. But somehow her thoughts became jumbled here, so that faces instead of garments filled her mind's eye. Again and again there swam into her ken the face of that woman of 50, in decent widow's weeds, who had stood there in the night court, charged with drunkenness on the streets, and the man with the frostbitten fingers in Madison Square, and the dog in the sweater, and the feverish concentration of the piecework sewers in the window of the loft building. She gave it up, selected a magazine, and decided to go in to lunch. End of part 1 of chapter 13.